Hey guys, welcome back. So today I've got an HO how-to video for you. This is going to be about my dimmable interior building lighting that I set up on my layout. Now, for this, I didn't use any sort of kit. This is completely DIY. I'm going to show you what I bought off eBay and how I did it using some LED strip lighting, some resistors, and a switch. So this is partially the end result. This was the lit building before I added the dimmer, and this is me showing off the building. So that's actually the dimmed portion, and then I'm going to flip it, and that is the full bright. So again, full bright to dim to off to full bright. Okay, so that's the end result. Just showing it off there. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, um, before we get into what I did, I'm going to show you what I bought off eBay. So here is the LED strip lighting. I actually bought this to light the layout up, but I ended up switching it out because it got a little too dim. And I bought a different kit off Amazon, but I kept all of the components because I wanted to um, use it exactly in this fashion. So what I ended up doing, I got the 5630s. I'm going to put these links in the description as well, so you guys can check that out. I got white because I think warm white was out of stock, and I got non-waterproof because I don't need waterproof. Now, the reason I went with this is because for the packages, the first package I got, you get the LED strip, you get the remote, the power adapter, and this kind of little cable to plug adapter. And I liked that because it came with the power and I knew it would work and I didn't have to worry about it. Some of them only come with the strips and you kind of have to buy everything separately, and that's annoying. So I got this, and they come in 5 meters, as you can see. So I needed more than that. I needed at least, I think, 14 meters. So I ended up going with one set of the package altogether, and then two more of these only LED strip packages. As you can see, they're extremely inexpensive, 472 Canadian. So this entire bundle actually cost me less, well, about $25 Canadian. Free shipping. Now they did take quite a bit. It's 14 to 53 business days, but pick those up. And then I also grabbed some of these double pull, double throw switches, again off eBay, $7 for a 5-pack, and I got the ones with the on-off ons. I actually have a couple different ones. I've got some on-ons, and I've got some momentarily on-ons, but I like these on-off ons for certain things, and this is a great example because you can just keep the lights off or dim or full bright. So it's kind of handy that way. And the one thing that I don't have the eBay kit with me, or actually, you know what? I do. So the LEDs that I bought for um, kind of my status LEDs are this. Now, I'm not using them in this video, but I am using the resistors that came with this, and they are a quarter of a watt and 470 ohm for 9 volt to 12 volt DC. So those are the resistors I'm using in this video. Um, and yeah, I just wanted to note that. So let's go ahead and get started. At first, this wasn't a dimmable. It being dimmable wasn't my initial plan. I just wanted some building lighting. So like I said, I have these LED strips off eBay, and they're fantastic because all you do is you cut them to length. There's a line right here. Oh, that was bad. Yikes. That you cut, and you ideally have, pads. Ugh, that's not so bad. You have pads on both sides to solder to. So you cut it and you solder pads just like that, and it's kind of just like feeders that you would do for track. Um, Actually, it's pretty much the exact same. I tin the end of all my wires because I use terminal blocks. In this video, I use terminal blocks. You can hardwire everything if that's how you do it. This is just how I did it. So tin the ends, helps last longer. You can reuse everything, better connection, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So after I made that LED little feeder, that goes inside the building. So that's actually going to be glued. I'll show you that later once it's inside the building. But I made an extension cord. That's all this is. It's 2 plugs, one on each end, and terminal blocks. And I like terminal blocks because they're really easy to troubleshoot, they're easy to use, set up. I can take my whole layout apart because I use terminal blocks and I don't have to cut out any soldering. I can stick multimeters in there. I can change wiring on the fly if I need to, and all I need is a screwdriver. So I know some people use like suitcase connectors, some people solder. It's kind of personal preference, but I prefer terminal blocks. So this is just an extension cord to go around the layout to my one building on the right side, because the main bus is going to be actually on the module that you're seeing in the picture. So I just needed to, get across the layout, and this is how I did it. So I'm starting work here on the bus. Basically, I'm doing what you would do for a bus line for your track power. You just need something to run, power in and then distribute the power to where it needs to go. So this is pretty much my, quote unquote bus line for lighting. And I've got some plugs there, some wires, and some jumpers. So there's kind of the finished product. Let's sneak a little closer. Here we go. So if I just go into draw, because the kit came with that plug, this is input power, and then these two are output power. You can see I've just got the jumper here. It's all color coded. I mean, this is pretty simple stuff. This is nothing crazy. Power goes in, power goes out, power goes this way, power goes out. That's it. Red and black, just keep the wires the same color and you'll be fine. At that time, I wasn't using these blocks. That was for future expansions, so I didn't worry about that, because the joys of using terminal blocks is when the time comes I want to add more, I just stick another plug in and I screw them down and I'm good to go. So another reason I use terminal blocks. Just a closer look made it look nice and tidy. Yeah, super simple. Just keep the reds with reds and black with black. So finished product. I mean, I literally plugged it in and boom, we get this picture. So, it looks good, but it's a little bright. And at the time, like I said, I didn't plan on doing anything dimmable, but I set it up and I was pretty happy with it. I was already kind of considering how bright it was, but I wanted to kind of move forward. So what I didn't end up getting a picture of is the hole is about in the corner there, and then the 2 cables run up this corner, and the light is actually just kind of glued there. I'm not an artist, guys, so yeah, you can kind of see it there. It's so bright it bleeds through, and that was a big issue with me as well, other than how bright it is. But I thought, okay, I'll go ahead and push ahead. So here's just a quick glamour shot that I took. Thought it looked awesome. I still think it looks awesome. Phenomenal. Here we are doing the second building. This one is kind of in the center of the layout, where directly above where the bus is. So you can see I've drilled a hole and cut a piece out of the cork just to keep it neat and tidy. And there it is again, so you can see the hole there, and the wires are glued to the corner. I've got lots of slack underneath, so I can pick up the buildings and tip them over and still do stuff. But glued there, and then what I did is I glued the light against the wall facing out. So you can see the wires in there. Again, the LED strip is taped up here, or glued up here, so that when you're looking in from this way, or even from that way, you're not getting direct light in your face. You're not looking directly into the source. And again, that's personal preference, I think, but everybody's going to do different. That's just how I wanted to do it. That way you never look directly into the source. So there's the second building lit up. Once again, the LED strip is glued about there, but you can tell how bright it is. I mean, it's so bright you can see the reflection of the other building in the picture. It's lighting up all over here. It's crazy how bright this is, you know. And that's when I was like, wow, like I need to dim this. But I was like, I don't know. I was torn because with the lights on, it looked so good, but with the lights off, it was way too bright. So that's where I got the idea of, hey, I should put a dimmer switch on. So, of course, as I've mentioned in the past, you always want to test everything. So here's me doing a little test, and I've got the power in here. So this is full bright like I've got in the buildings. And then we have a resistor, and this is step down, and then a second resistor, and this is a second step down. And you only have to put the resistor on one leg, so in this case, I used the wrong color. I actually have them on the positive, connection, the positive terminals of the strip, but I'm using red wires to connect the negative. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one you put it on as long as there's a resistor in there. And I did that just to test because I didn't want to go ahead and make changes to the wiring before I knew how it would react. So as you can see, I plug it in, and there's quite a difference. There's quite a difference. So on the left you have full bright, then the middle obviously is one step down, and then two step down. And I thought that was just that worked. That the test was successful. You can see just how much. The lighting changes, and I was like, sweet, that's exactly what I wanted. So super happy with that. It didn't cost me much. Obviously, I used a limited supply of lighting and wires, and I ended up reusing those resistors. So, or actually, I didn't. I still have that. I have that just hanging on the bottom of the layout, as a work light actually. So once I determined that was something I wanted to do, I had to expand my bus for the wiring. So that small strip that I started with kind of turned into this bigger one. And this is where it starts to get a little more confusing. I thought about using multiple different strips at first to keep things kind of separate, but then I thought, no, I can do everything in one. So in this picture, this is your power in, and these are your power outs. You've still got the two plugs as mentioned in the previous picture, but there's going to be a whole lot in the middle that we're going to go through right now. So, can I rotate this? Yep. So this is where it starts to get kind of complicated, and I wish I would have done this a little neater, to be honest, but it works fine, so I'm not going to touch it. This is still your power in, okay? Can I get rid of this? There we go. So this is your power in. You've got two jumpers here. Again, red goes with red, black goes with black. And as I mentioned in the test, I used the negative wire. The negative wire, but it doesn't matter. So realistically, I could have used the positive, and I don't know what I was thinking, but it doesn't matter. So the negative comes through here, and it goes through two resistors. So I've doubled up the resistors. Oh, now you can't see because I've colored over it. There we go. Two resistors, and it jumps to this block here. And then I've got two more resistors here and two more here. And they're all kind of jumping from terminal to terminal. And I did that because I thought, okay, what happens if I don't want to... How do I get rid of these? I don't know. There we go. I don't want to kind of set in stone what I'm going to be doing. So my thought was, okay, I'll put multiple, and then I can just connect the wire to whichever one I like best. And if I change my mind down the road, say I put it in the middle and I want it even more dim, I can just take the wire out of this one and I can put it in this one. Again, with terminal strips, it's so easy. You just unscrew it and plug it in somewhere else and screw it down that I didn't want to shoot myself in the foot by doing anything. Now, I ended up cutting off, so I'd strip a wire, I'd solder it, and I'd cut it off. And then what I would do is I'd use these nibs to solder to the ends of the resistors, just to make them crimp a little easier, because they're pretty small. So I just wanted a nice fat connection. And again, I haven't done anything at the bottom for the outputs yet. I'm still working. So moving along, now we're going to look at the switch. So we need some way, if I go back, of connecting the output to the inputs. And that's where that switch comes in. So a little pro tip, again, I tin all of my wires. And pro tip, when you're using this kind of switch, you can bend the wire. I just use some needle nose pliers, bend the wire, and then when you screw it down, it hugs the screw and it doesn't kind of squeeze out as you tighten it down, and it works a lot better. And in fact, you can see here with these switches, they're really handy because they've got these kind of holders for the wire. So once you crimp down the wire, you squeeze these in like here and here, and it holds the wire so that if you're moving around the switch, it's not going to let go. And I like that a lot, actually. For really cheap eBay switches, these were quite nice. So the middle, which is off, but the middle is where you want the output to be. Okay, so I've mentioned this, and I'm going to use this picture. I've mentioned this in a past HO how-to, but pretty much when this is, there's two contacts, right? There's a contact here. Well, there's four contacts, but don't worry about this back set for a second. The way these double pull, double throw switch works is, looking at the black contacts, you've got a contact, and then you have this. So when it's in the middle, it's kind of just chilling. This is terrible. It's chilling in the middle. It's not making contact with anything, okay? But then when you, I don't know, it's not working. There we go. Then when you press this down, you kind of think of this as like a diagonal thing, and it makes contact with this one. So it's kind of opposite. When it's, in this case, if this was flipped down, it would connect at the top, and if it was flipped up, it would connect to the bottom, right? It pivots right here. Man, I'm sorry guys, I'm really not any sort of artist. But what you want is, because the middle is the output, right? This could be, say, the dimmed version, and this could be the bright version. So when it's flipped down, the output is connected to the dimmed version, or if it's flipped up, then the opposite, it goes to the full bright version, because this is connected always. So that's pretty much what's going on here. I'm just showing you the wiring, and then we're back to the terminal block, which is coming along nicely. So pretty much what is going on here? Well, let's take a look. So you can see the three white wires represent the wires going to the switch. Whoops. There we go. So as I've mentioned, let's start here. Everything's cut right here. Nothing goes past this line. This is the output side. Okay. So that comes from the middle of the switch. So it's coming in. Okay. These are the plugs for the buildings. Okay. So those go out. Right. You've got the little jumpers. And this is where the magic happens. So power comes in. This is the switch from the main power. And this one is the full power one. So it goes to the switch. Full power. No resistors, no nothing. It's just connected straight through. You come down here. You've got the positive that it's hiding behind these resistors, because again, I have no idea why I did that. But it goes straight through. It does not go to the resistors, okay? this black wire, actually, let me change the color. Can I change the color? Oh yeah. This black wire comes through, it jumps here using these 2 resistors, okay? It jumps here using these 2 resistors, and then it jumps here. And what that means is I can connect this wire because this goes straight through. So this is the dimmable wire going to the switch that I talked about earlier. Let's clean this up for a second. Okay. So what happens is I can connect this negative wire here to any one of these 3 steps, and I get different results because this has 2 resistors. So this is 2, right? 2, this is 4, and this is 6. And I can move that as easy as just unscrewing it and putting in a new terminal. And that's it. So if I put it in 4, if I thought it was too bright, I could still too bright, I could put it in 6. If I thought that was way too dim, I could put it up in 2. That's all this is. You could make many more terminals of this. You could add 3 resistors over here per thing. You could add 1. It's completely personal preference. I just started with 2. I thought it was a good baseline. So, moving forward, there we go. I've got it connected to 2 or to 4. So you can see it's in the middle conduit. So we're jumping from here to here and then here. Okay. Once again, this is the power in and this is the dimmable out. Okay. I thought maybe I'd change it, but I like the 4, so I'm using the 4 resistors. I could use 6 or I could go back up to 2, but I liked 4. Okay, and that gets us here. So once again, you have the dimmed version, and of course you want to test before you actually mount everything, and you have the full bright version. And that's using all of the pictures. That's the switch from pictures, everything. I didn't have to make any changes. It worked right off the bat. I was really happy with that. Here's it mounted and in the other building as an example, but this switch controls all the buildings, so you can see how different it is. It looks great with the lights on, and then I switch the lights off and it's not too bright, but see how bright it is when it's full bright? I like that much. Once I have lamps and everything, I think it'll be better. Again, I just find it much better. And that's it, guys. So that's the wiring behind it using what? Less than $35 Canadian, I would say. A little DIY project. Hopefully you guys understood and enjoyed this. Like I said, I wanted to try this format and see what you thought. Feel free to ask any questions. I'll post the links to all the eBay stores that I bought from for all of this, but there's there's endless possibilities with how you want to wire this. If you want to use terminal blocks or suitcase connectors or solder or crimp or whatever you want to do, this is just the way I did it. So I want this to be a baseline for people. You can follow it exactly, or you can do your own thing and base it off this. That's the whole thing about this hobby. Just experiment, as I mentioned in in this picture here. Test it. If you're not sure if it's gonna work, if you're not confident, test it. Because if this blew up and I broke this, well, I'm only breaking a couple LEDs, and they're not mounted, and I don't have to tear off glue or break wiring or cut wiring or anything. So test first. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please let me know your thoughts down below. And until next time, guys, enjoy your bacon.